Hello and welcome. If you manage a commercial or institutional space, you already get it. Your walls are way more than just partitions. They're opportunities. So today, we're diving into a really critical decision: how to pick the perfect wall graphic solution. We're going to break down the two main contenders: direct-to-wall printing and traditional vinyl. So let's just start with a fundamental question. Are your walls an asset, or are they a liability? And this isn't just about making things look pretty. It's really about thinking of your walls as a key part of your whole operational strategy. The thing is, in any commercial space, those walls are incredibly high-value real estate. The graphics you choose aren't just decoration, they're a serious operational decision. Your choice is going to impact everything from your brand to the visitor experience, all the way down to your renovation schedules and, of course, your bottom line. To help you figure this all out, we've broken this down into 4 key parts. First, we'll introduce the two contenders. Then, we're putting them head-to-head in a performance showdown. After that, we'll get into the total cost equation, and you'll want to see this. And finally, we'll help you make the right choice for your mission. All right, first up, the two contenders. Think of it as a modern challenger versus the established incumbent that everybody knows. Let's break down exactly what each of these technologies really brings to the table. So, what exactly is direct-to-wall printing? Well, imagine a massive, super precise inkjet printer, but for your walls. It's a next-gen method that puts incredible high-res images right onto the surface itself. No vinyl, no wallpaper, and absolutely zero sticky adhesives. So let's talk about its key traits. First, you get perfectly seamless visuals, and I don't care how big the wall is. It also works on a huge range of surfaces. We're talking drywall, brick, even concrete. The finish itself is super durable, it's easy to clean, and the installation, it takes hours, not days. And the best part? When it's time for a change, you just paint right over it. It's really that simple. Now, on the other side of the ring, we have the incumbent vinyl wall coverings. This is the traditional method pretty much everyone is familiar with. The graphics get printed on rolls or panels of vinyl, and then they're installed on site with a whole lot of adhesive, trimming, and aligning. And look, vinyl has its place. Of course it does. It's familiar to basically every contractor out there, and you can get a massive range of specialty textures and finishes. But, and this is a big but, it comes with some built-in limitations. You just can't avoid seams on large walls. It's always prone to lifting at the edges or bubbling, and the removal, that can be a real nightmare that often damages the wall underneath. Okay, now for the main event, the performance showdown. We're going to compare these two head-to-head on the stuff that really matters to facility managers: speed, durability, and the entire product lifecycle. Let's kick things off with speed. With direct-to-wall, pre-production is basically just prepping a digital file. Easy. For vinyl, you've got to factor in printing, tiling all the panels, and shipping. That can take a week or two. On site, that means you're installing in hours versus days. And this is crucial. The disruption profile for direct-to-wall is really low. While vinyl, well, that brings strong adhesive smells and off-gassing right into your space. And check out this quote, because it gets right to the heart of long-term performance. In high-traffic corridors, fewer edges means fewer service calls. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. When you have no seams, you have no edges to peel, to get picked at, or to get damaged. And that translates directly to less maintenance for you. This brings us straight to durability and change management. With direct-to-wall, you just don't have those built-in weak points. With vinyl, it is always the seams and corners. Direct-to-wall is rock solid in changing environments, while vinyl can shrink or lift with humidity. But honestly, the biggest difference is the changeover. For direct-to-wall, you scuff sand and paint. For vinyl, you have to scrape, patch all the inevitable wall damage, and then reprime. That is a massive difference in labor and time. And that leads us perfectly into our next section: the total cost equation. Because as any pro knows, the smart money looks way beyond that initial price tag. You have to consider the total cost of ownership over the entire life cycle. This chart tells the whole financial story at a glance. Yep, vinyl often has a lower upfront cost, and that looks really appealing on a quote. But that's just the start. The high costs of maintenance and that painful removal process, they really add up over time. In contrast, direct-to-wall has almost no long-term costs, which often makes it the much more economical choice over the life of the graphic. Let's be really clear about these hidden costs of vinyl. You've got schedule risks from shipping delays. You've got the labor for replacing damaged panels. And the biggest one, the huge labor cost for removal and wall repair. Tack on material waste and disposal fees, and suddenly that initial deal starts to look a whole lot more expensive. So, how do you actually make the right choice? In this final section, we're going to give you some clear, actionable guidance. This is all about matching the method to your specific mission because there's a right tool for every single job. So, when should you use each one? Well, direct-to-wall printing is absolutely ideal for occupied buildings. Think hospitals and schools, where minimizing disruption is everything. It's perfect for those huge, seamless murals and for textured surfaces like brick. On the other hand, vinyl is a solid choice if your concept just has to have a special texture or for really short-term stuff like pop-ups and temporary panels. So here it is, the final summary of the core trade-offs. With direct-to-wall, your big wins are speed, low disruption, seamless durability, and super simple changeovers. With vinyl, you get familiarity, access to those specialty textures, and the option for temporary removability. You've just got to weigh which of these advantages matters most for your specific project. So let's circle right back to our main takeaway. For professionals like you, this decision is not about decoration. It is a strategic choice. It's about operational performance, life cycle cost, and being able to count on your schedule. And here's one last piece of expert advice. The best way to evaluate this is to actually run a 5-year cost scenario for your space. But make sure, and this is key, that your scenario includes at least one changeover event. That is when the true costs really show themselves, and the smarter long-term investment becomes crystal clear. So we'll leave you with this final thought. When your brand inevitably changes or a tenant moves out, what do you want your team spending their time on? Do you want them spending days scraping vinyl and patching drywall, or do you want them just applying a new coat of paint? The answer to that question might just tell you everything you need to know.